In this series of videos, I'm going to show you ways that you can optimize your AWS environment and save money. In this particular video, I'm going to show you how you can schedule AWS EC2 instances using Lambda in Python so that they only run for certain periods. That is, you start and stop the EC2 instances at certain times using Lambda. At the end of the video, we'll have EventBridge rules which trigger a Lambda that starts and stops our EC2 instances. It's Ndafara from NKT Studios, and in this channel we focus on technical tutorials as well as software demos. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments below if there's any topic you want us to create a tutorial for. Now let's get into it. First things first, let's create two EC2 instances. So just log into your AWS account and go to the EC2 console. I am in the Ohio region, and as you can see, I don't have any running instances. You can follow along in any region and it should work as far as I know. So just click on Launch Instances. You can select the image that you want to use, but I'm going to select the Ubuntu 18.04 server. Just make sure that free tier is selected and then click on Next, Configure Instance Details. Change the number of instances from 1 to 2 as we want 2 instances, and then we're going to keep the defaults, so click on Next, Add Storage. And then click on Next, Add Tags. We're not going to create tags at this time, so just click on Next, Configure Security Group. Click on Select an existing security group, and then select the default security group, and then click on Review and Launch. Everything looks good, so click on Launch and then it will ask you whether to choose or create a key pair. We are not going to log into these instances, so just select Proceed without a key pair. And then check the acknowledgement that says we will not be able to connect to this instance unless we already know the password built into the AMI. Then click on Launch Instances, which will launch our instances. As you can see, our instances are being launched. Once our instances are running, copy the instance IDs and save them somewhere as we'll need them later. Now just click on Services, type Lambda, and then open it in a new tab. As you can see, I don't have any Lambda functions running, so click on Create Function to create a new Lambda function. Select Author from Scratch and give our Lambda a name. I am going to call mine Start-Stop Instances. And then select Python 3.8 as the runtime. Now we need to create a Lambda row that can interact with our EC2 instances. So go to Services, and then just type IAM, and then open in a new tab. When it opens up, select Rows, and then click on Create Row. Select AWS Service if it's not selected, and then select Lambda. Click on Next, Permissions. We need to give it the Lambda Basic Execution role, so just search for Lambda Basic and select it. This row allows Lambda to write to CloudWatch. Next, we need to give it EC2 access so that it can start and stop our EC2 instances. Since this is a demo, I'm just going to add EC2 full access policy. This will allow instances to be started and stopped. In production, you probably want to keep in line with the principle of least privilege and tighten this policy down. So just search for EC2 full access and select it. And then select it, and then click on Next Tags. We're not going to create any tags, so just click on Next, Review. We now need to give our row a name and a description. For the name, I'm going to call it Lambda EC2 Schedule. And for the description, I'm going to put in allows Lambda functions to start and stop EC2 instances. Just confirm under Policies that we have the Lambda Basic Execution role, which is here, and the Amazon EC2 Full Access, which is here. And then click on Create Row to create the row. As you can see, my Lambda EC2 Schedule row was created successfully. We can just close this page and go back to our Lambda console. Now once back on our Lambda console, under Permissions, expand, choose or create an execution role. And then select Use an existing role. Just refresh the rows, and then search for Lambda EC2. And then select Lambda EC2 Schedule. and then click on Create Function. If everything went well, we should get a confirmation at the top here and a basic Lambda implementation under function code, as you can see here. Now let's write the Lambda code. I'm not going to go into super detail about Lambda functions, but if you're interested in learning more, check out my Lambda video series. The link to the playlist is in the description as well as up here. To start and stop instances, our Lambda function is going to receive the EC2 instance IDs and the action. The action can be start or stop. Now let's add import borrow3 after import JSON. Next, we need to set up the region where our instances are, as well as the EC2 object. So just type in region is equals to US East 2. I've put in US East 2 because that's the Ohio region. If you click this arrow, you can see that Ohio is US East 2. So just put in the region where your instances are, and then we need to set up the EC2 object. So just type in EC2 is equals to borrow3.client, and then we pass in EC2. This just means that we want to use the borrow3 client to control EC2 instances and then pass in the region name. So just type in region name is equals to the region that we just set up. We are going to get a comma delimited list of instances from the event parameter, so add the following line under the Lambda handler method. So just delete the to-do implement and then put in instances is equals to event, and then instances dot split, and then split by comma. This line creates a list of instance IDs and saves it to a variable called instances. Now we need to get the action as well from the event, so add the following line. Action is equals to event, and then we're going to get the action. Here, we get the action that is either start or stop and save it to a variable called action. Now we're going to put an if-else statement to differentiate the start and stop actions. So if action is equals to start, for now I'm just going to put in pass, and then the other one, elif action is equals to stop, and then put in pass as well. Now let's add the actual code for our if statement. We're going to start with the start action. So the first thing that we want to do is to just print what's happening. In this case, we are starting instances. So just print starting your instances, and then we convert our list of instance IDs to string. And then we actually do the starting of the instances using the EC2 object. So just type in EC2.start instances. And then here you pass in the instance IDs. So put in instance IDs is equals to our list of instances. And the last thing that we want to do is to just set a response, that is whether we successfully started or stopped the instances. So since this is the start action, our response is going to be successfully started instances. And then again, we pass in our list of instances and convert it to string. Next, I need to put in the code for the stop action. So I'm just going to copy this and then paste it here. And now I have to change starting to stop. So for example, instead of starting your instances, this is going to be stopping your instances. And then instead of EC2.start instances, it's going to be EC2.stop instances. And lastly, on the response, instead of successfully started, it's going to be successfully stopped instances. Finally, we need to update the return body from hello from Lambda to the response that we set. So just select this, delete it, and then put in response. With this, our Lambda is ready, so just click on save to save our changes. Now let's test our Lambda function. Click on the drop down besides test and select configure test events. Now name this event start EC2 and modify the code as follows. Start EC2. It's a simple key value pair. On the instances, put in the instance IDs we saved when we created our EC2 instances as comma separated values. So I'm just going to come here, copy the first instance ID, and then paste it here where it says put instance IDs, and it's supposed to be comma separated, so I put a comma, go back here, copy the second one, and then paste it here. After that, just click on create to create the event. Now we are going to repeat the process for the stop EC2 event, so click on configure test events, and then name it stop EC2. And then change the action from start to stop. And then click on create to create the event. Now we have stop EC2 and start EC2. We know our instances are running, as you can see here. So we are going to test with the stop EC2 event. So just select stop EC2 here. And before we press test, I've just noticed that I've got a typo. Here on line 2, it's saying import Boto when it's supposed to say import Boto 3. So just do that and click on save, and then click on test to test. Now if we come to our EC2 instances and refresh, you see our instances are being stopped, and after a while they'll be stopped. As you can see, our instances have been stopped. Now if you go back to the Lambda console and scroll up, you can see our execution result is succeeded, and if we click on the details, you can see it says successfully stopped instances, and we've got the instance IDs. For the culture, let's just test starting the EC2 instances. So just select Start EC2 Instances here, and then click on Test. And then if we go to the Lambda instances, and then refresh, you see it's now starting our instances. As you can see, our instances have been started. We are certain that our Lambda can successfully start and stop EC2 instances in the Ohio region. Now for the last part, we have to use EventBridge to trigger this Lambda on our set schedule. So click on Services, search for EventBridge and select it. Just open it in a new tab. When it opens up, just click on Create Rule to create the rule. If your interface is different to mine, you can just come here to the left side and then click there on the menu button and then click on Rules. And then you can then click on Create Rule here. For the name, I'm going to call it Example Stop Ohio EC2 Instances. The description is optional, but I'm going to say Rule that stops EC2 instances in Ohio. Under the Define pattern, select Schedule because we want this rule to be triggered on a set schedule. And then select Cron expression. I'm going to demonstrate a rule that will trigger our Lambda 5 minutes from now so that you can see how it works. The Cron expression is in UTC time format and my current time is 2:48. So I want the Lambda to be triggered 5 minutes from now, which will be 2:53. So I'm just going to come here, put in 53, and because my time zone is plus 2 hours UTC, I'm going to put in 12. And then question mark, star 125 to represent Monday to Friday, and then star again. I'm just going to scroll down and then select targets. My target is a Lambda function. Under the function, I select our start stop instances function and then expand configure input. Select constant JSON text, go back to our Lambda console, click on configure test events, and here just select stop EC2 and then select this text. Then come back to the EventBridge and then just paste the text here. I'm not going to add any tags, so just click on create to create the rule. As you can see, our rule, Example Stop Ohio EC2 Instances, was created successfully. Now let's just wait for 2:53 p.m. to see the EventBridge rule being triggered and our instances being stopped. Now if I just refresh, you see our instances have been stopped. So use the Cron expression to set the daily schedule for when you want to start and stop your EC2 instances. You will have two rules, one for starting and the other one for stopping your instances. This example works for a small AWS environment like my demo environment with a few EC2 instances. But if your environment has a lot of instances, it will be difficult to add all the instance IDs. In the next video, I'll show you how to start and stop EC2 instances using tags. That way, when you create an EC2 instance, you just need to put a tag to say, for example, daily schedule, and your instance will be on a schedule. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.